We're live. Hey, we're here. My eyes are red. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is a very important show because today is the DigiNinja Dealer School. We have Caleb Wilson. We're going to drop some tremendous truth bombs on you. Are you ready to bring Caleb on?
I'm ready to bring Caleb on.
Let's do it. Hey, man, no intro
man.
because I was 2 minutes late. Sorry about that, Caleb.
That's all good, man.
If you can look at my eyes, I'll explain to you why I'm 2 minutes late. Can you see my eyes?
I think they can probably tell.
So, do you know who Diamond Dallas Page is, Caleb?
DDP.
Yes, DDP. DDP, I didn't know this until yesterday, but he has DDPY, which is Diamond Dallas Page Yoga. And did you see the transformation of the guy that we shared on the show yesterday?
Yeah, I watched the video at the beginning there. Yeah.
And that guy, he inspired me. So I thought I would try me some Diamond Dallas Page yoga this morning, and it was quite excruciating. So I got in the sauna to try to relieve my my soreness and just the fatigue that I had, and it got so hot in there. I think I busted some blood vessels or something. April says I need to stay out of there, that it's not good for you, but I don't know. I'm kind of addicted to doing hard stuff.
I thought maybe you've been out to Denver and hang out with Sarah a little too much or something.
No, but I would after this morning. It was I want to see Caleb try some of that DDP yoga.
Probably not going to see that. I did take a yoga class one time for one time, and it was hard. I didn't realize how much of your muscles you used all over, and so I did go one time, and that was it. That was the last yoga experience for me. So
I gotcha. Well, you've been bringing a bunch of great information to us every week. We've been talking about communication the last couple of shows and just how important it is for the dealers to communicate properly to their general managers, because the general manager has an extremely hard job. A lot of people don't know this. But that top job, which is the highest paying job, the general manager in the dealership, that's a very high turnover job. And it's because they get a lot of things wrong. So I'm not sure exactly what you have for us today, but I just want to let people know, if you have a general manager, if you're a general manager, if you're a dealer, and you want to learn some specialized knowledge on how to do it right, you need to pay attention. So what have you got for us today, Caleb?
Well, it's really right on that target line. A lot of guys had a challenging October. And so I've talked to a lot of dealers this week, a lot of general managers as well. And so I just kind of grabbed a few things today that they could review that does not cost them any money. It's not they're not buying anything to fix the problem. Just a couple of things that they can review, look at, and then I save some stuff about closing at the end, just in case we, get a little too fast on some of this other stuff. But so the great thing about finishing up October is that it's real easy to see where you are for the year. So dealers, a good exercise right now is, everyone just finished the month. They're going into October. They've got 9 months of the year out of the way. So it's the last quarter, October, November, and December. So what I like to do each quarter is it's kind of like a ball game, right? You got 4 quarters in a football game. It gives you a chance to catch up. If you're behind, if you made some mistakes, if it's almost like a reset. So each quarter is a good reset opportunity. And the best thing to do really is to, and I told a couple of dealers I didn't have time to call everybody and talk for an hour. So I said, hey, just watch the show today, and I'll kind of go over some of the things that they all wanted to talk about. So a good starting place today, guys, is go ahead and get that financial statement out. You just got it printed. Whether you lost money, made money, regardless, go ahead and get that report out, and then get a annual trend. So go back and just get either 10 months or 12 months of data. 10 months is easy because if you're looking at your report, you can just divide it by 10 and know your averages without having to do any math. You just, so I like to go back and just get 10 months of data and take that financial statement today and take your 10-month trend report and go through and look at those averages. And a good thing to do real quick is look at your expenses, obviously. And if you see something that's really high, out of whack, so let's say you've been averaging, $60,000 in advertising, and all of a sudden in September, you had a strong month, and you notice on that report that it's down. It's only got 50,000 there, so you had a $10,000 drop. But you didn't spend any different money. Well, what's going to happen now? In October, someone in accounting didn't do the math right, and now there's going to be an extra $10,000 of expense you didn't plan on having, because that money is going to get paid regardless. And so, taking that, starting your month out, going into the quarter by looking at your trend reports, you can go through and you can see where something may be coming that you weren't prepared for, where something may be coming that you can plan for, but also you can look for things you can change really fast to make sure that your third quarter is strong. Because traditionally, we know that from Black Friday through the end of the year, it can be great. But right now, unrealistically, October and the 1st of November can be challenging. So it's a good time to go in and just see where every single account, line by line, you can make a real quick adjustment to make it better for your store. And it doesn't take a lot of adjustments. If you're averaging, if you've lost, let's say that you finished the month out and you had a bad month, let's say you lost $20,000. Well, there's probably 100 different accounts on your statement, and you can go through and just adjust a couple places and get back to even real fast. So one of the guys I used to work for would tell me, the financial statement is just a report card of how the month ended. It's not really the truth of the dealership. And so, but it is also what those general managers that get fired and have high turnover get judged off of. So get that report out and look at it and see where you can make some quick adjustments. So it won't take long at all. And then also look at your gross numbers. So if you've been averaging, let's say you've been averaging $1,800 a copy on new car front end gross, and that's been your yearly average. In September, it was $1,200. Well, see what happened. How can we fix that? How can we adjust that? So just the first thing I want to talk about was just don't be scared of your financial statement. And then also, Billy, if you're a new general manager, the chances is you don't understand what you're looking at sometimes. And that's okay. I grabbed a composite book from 3 years ago this morning just to kind of look for some highlighted things to talk about. And even me, I was like, it took me a second to remember exactly what I was looking at. So if you are a new general manager and you're trying to understand maybe even what we're talking about, then instead of going to the owner and saying, hey, I really don't know what I'm looking at, you could give one of us a call and we could walk you through it just to help. You want to seem confident. You want to know what you're talking about. And if no one takes time to teach you anything, then how are you ever going to learn it? There's not a school for how to read a financial statement other than, NADA, NCM. And so I wanted to put that out there because a lot of guys I was talking to this week weren't quite sure exactly what I was saying. And I said, so, if they would get the statements, send them to us, we can help them and help them walk through that. But, all that aside, just I guess part of the motivational part of the show is, it's good to take a reset. It's good to take the stress off of you when you finish a month up. I know a lot of guys who are sick about it, and they're sick because they have reached that highest point in their career to that point. At that point, maybe, they made it to general manager status. They worked hard. They started washing cars. They sold cars. They did finance. They did all this work to get to that top spot. And now they're worried each month about turnover because there's nowhere else they can go. They're already at the highest spot, and there's not just a lot of empty seats out there because people are really trying to hold on to that job. So it can be very stressful when you get to the end of the month. If it was a challenging month, it's very normal to be worried about it. And then also understand the dealer group typically will only be reactive. So talking with a good friend of mine yesterday, and I told him, I said, look, man, they're just reacting to the numbers. They're not they don't think you're a bad person. They don't think that you just don't care. You're not working hard. They're just reacting to a number. And so you're always going to be harder on yourself than the dealer may be. And that's what makes a guy a good general manager or even a good employee, is he's going to care more about not letting the owner down, more so than the owner's going to be upset with him for not doing the right job. But a great place to start, guys, if you are struggling, if you had a couple bad months in a row, a great place to start is go ahead and get that report out. If you don't know if you're on Reynolds and Reynolds or ADP, you can just get a 12-month trend analysis, look at all the averages. And then that's a great place to start, because then you can go to that owner and say, hey, Billy, Mr. Owner, here's 10 areas that we are way off at from over the last 12 months average. And at least he knows. Then that guy's going to know that you're looking for ways to solve problems. You're not just making excuses for, well, COVID's going on, so things are slow. So
Right.
I'll stop there. But that's just the first part about just resetting, shaking off the past, resetting, and going in each quarter in a different way. And I mean, I'm sure you do a lot of sports stuff and everything, coaching. I'm sure they do a lot of that in those breaks in the games.
Absolutely. And it's you said so much there. I want to talk about the reactive. You do have so many reactive dealer principals and owners, and you have a lot of reactive general managers. Well, and we work with so many dealers, and we see the ones who've struggled the last couple of months, and then we see the ones who are absolutely crushing it. And the difference is they're proactive. And like you say, there's a lot of excuses, not even excuses. There's a lot of legitimate reasons why it can be tough in October. Okay. But the proactive dealers take into consideration that there's a lot of things, such as it's an election year. It is, inventory is still very low in most new car inventory is still very low nationwide. And Halloween takes the last Saturday out of October for us. So, if you retract and pull back and react to these things and react, okay, now it's another slow 8 days have gone by, and you're just reacting, you're going to really have a tough one. So, what our dealers that allow us to actually coach them along, they're prepared, because Caleb is huge about being prepared. He doesn't even come into these conversations that we have without his notes and without his material. So he plans well. So you need to be planning your October, being proactive as opposed to being reactive. So
right. And so to that point, it's goes back to the first show we did. If you're operating in weeks and not months, then these things are not as big of an issue, because you really don't care what month it is. You really don't care, but if you haven't got there yet and you're still living in months, then, you gotta take that reset, refresh, and start back over. So I think weeks are best, but if you're living in the month cycle, and most owners are, living in that month cycle, it's a good way to just get restarted, reset. And then, so I listed a couple things. Like one of the clients I need to speak with is watching today. And he was asking me, he's like, man, I had a store, it struggled. 2 or 3 of my stores did great. This one store, had some issues. And I said, well, and it's a small store, it's a store in a small market. And so that store really, he can't throw money at the problem. I mean, if you have an inventory of, if you're selling 50 cars a month and you're saying, well, I'm going to spend $300 per car on average in advertising, or $500. Regardless, that's only $35,000 to $50,000 of advertising, and that doesn't go very far. Especially when you're competing with people who may be selling 200 cars a month and they're spending $100,000. So, you have to make sure that you outperform, out execute, and do a better job than everyone else in the small things in that situation. So, I'm going to go through a couple of things with inventory and things you could do right now, and get some extra leads coming in. I mean, obviously the leads coming in, you want to make sure your people are trained to handle them, but that is where it starts at. How do we generate leads? So to that point, I think it's important to talk about how people search for vehicles. How does someone find a vehicle for sale? And I think majority of people, even though dealers are pulling away from third-party listing sources like AutoTrader, Cars.com, et cetera, people are still going to those areas to search, or even the dealer's website to search, right? And Billy, I think what you'll find is most sorting, when you go to a dealer's website or the other inventory tools, it's sorted by price. So if I'm a consumer and I go in and I'm looking for a new F-150 truck and I want a 2021 F-150, and then I'm gonna search. I'm putting the make, the model in, the year model in, and I'm gonna hit search. And what's going to show up is a lot of inventory. And even in those trucks, there's going to be fleet models. There's going to be, like you have your XL, your XLTs, your Lariats, your King Ranches. You'll have all areas across there. So what I was going to talk with this client about is making sure you show up in every place. So a lot of dealers are saying, well, I want to be the lowest price, or I want to be, I want to put the most options on my cars, or, they have different strategies. But a strategy you can use, whether you're a new car dealer, used car dealer, a wholesale dealer, whatever, is if I have F-150s and I have XLTs, Billy, then what I'm going to do is if I have, let's say I have 5 XLTs in stock, they all MSRP for $38,000, and I can sell that truck for $32,900. It's kind of like that's where all my competitors are selling at. If I go to TrueCar, if I go to the number one volume stores, and that car is getting sold for $32,995, that's kind of the average price, right? Well, I'd have to spend a lot of money in advertising to get that one vehicle sold. So what I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and lower that price on that vehicle to a number that is going to get me a lot of calls. So I may list that car for $29,995, Billy, and really lose $3,000 to sell that car. And the reason I'm going to do it is because if anyone sorts my vehicles least to most expensive, I'm going to be the number one every time. And I also know that if I sell that car and I get financing, and if they have a trade-in, then I'll be able to break even. But even if they came in and ready to check cash for it, I still have that. I'm just going to apply that to advertising. I'm going to look at that as a loss leader of inventory. And then my other 4 F-150s, Billy, I'm going to price them up the scale. So if there's a $5,000 price scale, I'm going to have one at, so if $32,900 is the average price, I'm going to have one at $29,900, one at $32,900, $33,000, $34,000, $35,000, $38,000. You know, I'm going to take, even if it's the same vehicle, the same options, the same equipment, and I'm going to price them out like that. So no matter how someone's searching for a vehicle, that vehicle is going to be the one. I'm going to be across every spectrum, no matter how they sort. And not only that, Billy, I'm going to make sure that the cars that need to go. So if I have that old age inventory piece, a lot of new cars will be 200-300 days in stock because of inventory management. I'm going to make sure that real price leader is one of my old cars, because I have curtailment payments on that vehicle. It's costing me money sitting there. So having a $3,000 lead price generating, you know, just that loss leader, it's really not losing me any money if I can get rid of that old age piece of inventory. So a good strategy for dealers to do with their new car pricing is take every piece of new car inventory and sort it. Just export it to Excel, sort it by make, model, and MSRP, and then group them up. And so if I'm a Ford dealer and I've got 5 Ford Fusions in stock, then I'm going to have one that is substantially lower than anyone in the market. I'm going to have one that's at MSRP, maybe even MSRP plus 1,000, because a lot of lazy dealers don't price their cars. So they're going to have MSRP already as their listing price. And like AutoTraderCars.com lists most expensive to least expensive as their default setting. So I want to raise the price on one of my cars over everyone else's MSRP. And then I'm going to spread the other 3 out across the middle. So first thing any dealer could do today is take all their new car inventory and go ahead and split it up and price it that way. And that would just be a step 1. So that way we show up across the board, no matter how a customer is researching for a vehicle. Does that make sense?
Oh man, it makes so much sense. I'm just sitting here, so much good information and so much strategy. Okay. Yeah. So pricing, pricing a real price loser. And then I used to love when I would run dealerships, I would make sure I had the highest priced vehicle. I'm talking about, I'd put a truck on there for $110,000, like what, this is just the, what are they doing? But I want to break this down because there is so much gold in what you're talking about, because you're talking strategy, you're talking pricing strategy and lead generation strategy. So let's think about this. You put a price out there that's extremely low. That's going to generate a lead. That's strategy. Okay. But then our process, your process and my process is my people are going to talk to that person that's calling in on that $3,000 loser. And you and I both know, and all the people who work for us know, that even I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's way overwhelmingly more than 50% of the time that when someone calls on a specific vehicle, they don't buy that vehicle. Our process is going to be, it's not bait and switch. It's solving the problem and finding out what they really want, because they're looking for the lowest price. But after a few after some information gathering, we find out, they need the XLT, or they need the different package the different package. They're calling about the wrong vehicle. Something like, you probably know the system.
It's 62%. Yeah. So 62% of the time people buy don't buy the car they came in on. So that's what I'm saying is that, but you want to create the conversation. So if I have like I used to do it with the F-150s, I priced them for $19,995, and you could not, like a net triple net loser was at 23 grand. It's a $3,000 loss. But it was a base model truck, manual transmission, no power, anything. Nobody really wants that vehicle, right? But it got me the phone call. So my people, I would price all my cars, and then I would talk to my BDC. I would say, hey, my BDC manager's name at this last was Rhonda. And I said, Rhonda, hey, these are the price leaders. Okay, here's how we handle it. If they call in, we're going to say, hey, Billy, are you calling about that specific vehicle, or are you calling about getting a new truck for $19,999? And they would always say, well, I'm just calling about a new truck for cheap. Right. Now, are you wanting to pay cash, or are you just looking for a low payment on a new truck? Well, it's really about payment on a new truck. At that point, I brought that customer in, and all my other vehicles, remember, are not priced at triple net. Their prices are staggered. And so I could put that customer on the right vehicle that met their needs. And then I already knew my negotiation process was about payment, but it all came from handling that lead properly. But I had to generate the lead. If I don't generate the lead, there's nothing, doesn't matter what my process is, I have to generate the lead. And it cost me nothing but effort. It didn't cost any time to get those leads. So that was one. That's one thing you can do right there. And it's not bait and switch. There's a big volume dealer that I work with, and he was notorious for going out, and he would buy like 2,000. I mean, in this, I don't know the year, but at this time, let's say he would go out and buy 2020 Ford Rangers, right? And he would bring all those trucks in, and he would have one that was, super low, and he would stagger the rest. But the one that was super low, he really didn't want to sell it, right? So one day, it's a good story. One day, the guy showed up, and he said, hey, I'm here to buy a stock number, this stock number. I found the truck. I matched the VINs up. This is the truck I'd like to buy. And so the managers were like, well, hey, man, he's on the price leader. We don't want to sell that one. What do we do? And the owner walked outside. He's like, is this the one you own? He's like, yeah. He kicks a giant dent in the door. And he says, all right, you can still buy it for $19,999 or whatever. And the customer was furious. He's like, what? He's like, the guy's like, well, hey, it's my car. I can do what I want. And so the guy's very successful, but it's not a good tactic. I would not recommend doing that. But it's a funny story about how, if you are proactive with your inventory, you can bring customers in from all over just by using inventory to sell. And so inventory to sell is important. All right. On the new car side, there's another thing you could do today. And another thing I was taught to several of these dealers about is your comments. Unfortunately, most dealers are using a system like vAuto or AAX, and the comments are generated by the features on the vehicle, right, Billy? So it's just, this great F-150, they're kind of cheesy. And you can even, like on vAuto, you can even choose a level of cheesiness you want your comments, right? So you can have like facts, or like it's kind of crazy that you can just really cheese it up with stuff that don't make sense. So what I like to do is I like to use my comment section to help boost the SEO on my website. And so I'm going to talk about the why buy here message. So Billy, let's say you live in Douglas, and there's a dealer 20 miles east and a dealer 20 miles west. And I know you and I are the same on buy local. Buy local, yeah, if it's the best deal, but we're not going to buy local just because we live there. If we're going to be taken advantage of, we're going to buy where we get the best value for our money. And so you live in the middle, and you can go to either store, and you're looking at a new car. And if you go and you shop new cars, you're going to find that all your new car pricing is within $200 to $300 of what you could buy the vehicle for, no matter how the shopping experience is. And so you have to decide, like, why buy from that dealership. So if we're talking about two dealerships, one is like I said, you're right in the middle. It's going to take you the same time to go to either one. What are some things that would make you want to go to one versus the other, Billy? Like, what are some things that they could offer that would make you want to go to one?
Well, I think that could be limitless. Okay. Yeah. So, and this is just my honest conversation here. Yeah. Is when I ran dealerships, I would find something that I was going to be special about, and I generally tied it to, the trade-in amount. That's how I got the name Buyback Billy. I'm going to pay you more than any other person. And I just drove that home on my why buy for me, as well as the process. And quite honestly, I always stick to that big offer, where we're always priced number one in the market. Now, as you've already mentioned, everyone can't be the lowest price, and it may not be a place where you want to be, but I was confident and comfortable being there because I would be that lowest price in the market every time. You will not find another vehicle like this one priced as low as this one. Not exactly like this with the same VIN number, at least. And,
Cool.
And so that's one thing is I would try to put my process in there, and I would always try to appeal to what the customers wanted with more money for their trade-in. And
right. So that's what I was going to say, Billy, is trade, right? You're talking about trade. So if I'm a customer and I'm looking for a new F-150 truck and I'm on the dealer's website, I click on the vehicle, I can pull up the window sticker. I don't need a cheesy comment. What I think you should do is pretty much run what we run as Facebook ads as your comment on every new car. And so it's not something any dealer is doing right now, but think about it. I get on the vehicle, I'm looking at the car, I like the car, I go to read about the car, and it's like, hey, at Billy Merritt Motors, we're going to give you $4,000 over KBB for every trade-in. Where credit's not going to be an issue, negative equity is not going to be a problem. The same messages that we're using as Facebook ads, if I was a dealer today, I would put that as my comments on every vehicle, because the customer can find out the little stuff. Does it have a 5.7 liter or a 5.0 or whatever? They can find that by just clicking on the Moroni label and reading about and it's actually better because you're not having to risk someone making a mistake with the features on the vehicle. So in my comment section, I'm going to say, hey, at Billy Merritt Motors, we're the home of $4,000 over Kelly Blue Book. We're going to sell you all the new cars, even, whatever the message is. We sell all new cars at invoice. That needs to be in the comments of the vehicle. Check out our Google reviews wherever. And that's going to help you show up more when someone's searching, because you're putting relative meaningful information in there. But not only that, you're telling the customer what they want to hear to advance it. So when they make the phone call and they are in the middle, what's going to separate them then is the give, Billy, of the person they talk to on the phone. How much are they willing to help that person so that they're willing to make that drive to them? But I don't think I've never seen that, but I would do that, is turn your comment section into the actual advertisement.
Turn it into the big offer, and then you're getting what we talked about on the second show. I think is we're taking this lead and putting them into our buying process, right? It's a buying process. So we operate off of the big offer, trade in, trade, appraise up front. So we're getting them into our process, which is the process they want to be in anyway. And by the way, if your salespeople don't know how to handle these leads properly, I have an amazing offer for you today. I'm going to give you free access to the DigiNinja School, which is the online academy that has tremendous content in it. It's what our ninjas study on every single day of how to work these leads. This normally costs $500 a month, $495. I'm giving it to everybody who visits billymerritt.com and just fill out the little form, contact us at the bottom. If you'll put it in there, just the simplest thing, a name and it basically all I need is your email address. We're going to get you free access to a multi-million-dollar online cloud-based platform that's going to train your salespeople and your BDC to do exactly what we do, which is handle these leads. We have the best BDC in the country, and we'll train your people for free if you just give us an email address to send you the link to. So, Caleb,
that's great. Well, this is what you said, right? It says, one of the little notes I wrote down is that early steps in the process makes closing easier. And so by introducing your process in the very initial safe shopping area of the customer, so they're at home or they're doing research because they don't want to talk to a salesman yet, I want to go ahead and get them in my process. So if I'm letting them know, hey, Billy, at Billy Merritt Motors, this great vehicle is available. However, we offer $4,000 over trade-in value. We're going to appraise your vehicle up front. It's going to save you time. 30 minutes or less is our buying process. I want to have that not just on the main page of my website, but I want to have that in that comment section. So every vehicle they look at, they keep seeing it. That way, when you do call and I get you on the phone, you're like, hey, I'm calling about this vehicle. And I'm like, great. Is it just that vehicle you're interested in, or could I show you some similar vehicles that would save you money? And they're like, well, yeah, look at all of it. Great. Hey, I want to set you a VIP appointment to come in. A little bit about our process. Not sure if you saw it yet, but we offer up to 4,000 over KBB for all trade-ins, and we do that up front. So in 15 minutes or less, we're going to appraise your vehicle, let you know what it's worth while you're looking at other vehicles that you might want to replace it with. But we're going to get you all that information. By the way, we're going to give you the best price, best payment, down payment information, everything up front. So that's real simple for you with no pressure. And they're going to like that. They're going to agree to that. That's going to get them to come to you. And that means the minute you meet the customer, Billy, they've already agreed for a write-up. They've already agreed to our process. So we want to get the process in early. We want to get it in that comment section of every vehicle. And it's really simple. You write it and you copy and paste it, go through vAuto, go through each inventory listing, and just punch it in there, and it's done. And then moving forward, it's easy. So that's the first thing I was going to talk about today, which is using your new car inventory to generate leads. So,
okay, I want to stop and really drill in on what you're saying right here, because I don't want anybody just kind of gloss over this. No one is doing what Caleb is telling you to do. Maybe there's one dealer. We have one dealer who actually painted 4,000 over KBB on the side of their building. Okay, and now I'm telling you, and Caleb's telling you from lots of experience, if you will make your comments your big offer, make it your pitch. 4,000 over KBB, 5,000 over KBB, number one in the market. Whatever your big offer is, it needs to be pretty irresistible. Put that in every comment on every VDP that you have, and let's get your process into how you market and how you actually get the lead, because we have to appeal to the customer on what they want, not what we want. We want to sell the car. So, but the last thing we want to say is, hey, we got the, we're going to make you a deal. No, get something that has teeth and put that in your comments. Right. That will take your SEO to the moon. Okay. And the more, Caleb, you saw me do it, and I've seen you do it. When I would go into an underperforming store and take it over, I would get me a big offer, and I would just drive it home on every single listing, every single video, every single commercial, everything we did, we were driving that big offer home, and it drove the other dealers crazy. You can't do that. They can't do that. Yes, we can, and we did it, and now I look at those dealers who didn't do it. Man, they're struggling right now. And then the dealers who are doing these things that we're talking about, there's tremendous opportunity because there's very few dealers doing this strategy, this amazing strategy you're talking about right now. So dealers, listen to me. Make your comments your pitch, your big offer. Caleb.
Yeah, even if you wanted to, you could just create a PDF and serve it as a photo as well. So maybe, people always click through the photos on the vehicles. Maybe the third or fourth photo is your why buy here message, making sure it's in front of them. All right, so that's the used car side. The new car side. And that can be done. Like I said, it's going to take a while, but every month at the beginning of each month, what I did as a general manager is I would take all my inventory and see what I had. So using the Ford store, for example, because that's one of the stores that needs some help I'm dealing with, the Ford store. I'm going to go through and I'm going to sort all my inventory by make and model. So I'm going to see how many Explorers do I have, how many Focuses, how many Fusions, how many F-150s, how many F-250s, and I'm going to sort, know what my number is. I'm also going to look at how many of those I've sold in the last 90 days. So if I've been, and I can do that on that financial statement. So if I've sold on average 7 Explorers a month and I have 2 Explorers in stock, then I got a problem, right? Because dealer trading inventory is hard. No one wants to let go of it, and you lose money. So if I'm looking at that, I've got to make sure that I know, okay, well, I've been averaging selling 7. I have 2 in stock or 3 in stock. I can only sell 3. I don't have any coming in on my order sheet. I need to address that issue and get some of that inventory bought from somewhere. I need to fill my pipelines back up. So you want to, like I said, sort all your inventory out, see what you have. Look at your 3-month rolling average of sales and make sure you have at least enough inventory in stock to keep that average up. Because remember, if you had a down month, hitting the same average isn't going to help you. You need to go past that average. So you got to make sure you're set up for success. Number one. Number two, make sure that new car branding message matches what you have to sell. So if I have 2 Ford Fusions in stock, Billy, I don't want to do a big promotion on 0% interest and $299 a month on Fusions. I only have 2 of them. You know, I want to make sure that I'm putting my efforts towards the vehicles that I can actually have in stock and can actually sell. And then lastly, on the new car side, it's just simply, you know, make sure you have, like I said, you have a loss leader for every make and every model. So you want to have a low price Fusion, a low price Focus, a low price Explorer, a low price Edge, a low price, you know, F-150. You want to have that price leader that no one else can touch the price on every make and model, and use old age inventory for that. Use bad colors for that. You know, if you have a bright blue Ford Edge and it's a bad seller, make that your price leader just to get the leads, and then switch them to one that's more desirable, that's going to cost more money. And it's not bait and switch, it's selling with options. It's saying, hey, look, yeah, you can get this car for this. However, you know, we have this, you know, these other vehicles that they can fall in love with. And it really is going to come down to payment in the end most of the time. So it's really not about the loss leader. No one comes in and writes a check for that vehicle. It's just getting the conversation started and letting them know why they should reach out to you so you can give. So that's on the new car side. On the used car side, and we'll obviously this will take a lot longer to explain, but I'll talk about it as well as I can real fast, Billy. So, all right. So used car lot. I know when you had the one store, you guys focused on Altimas, and you sold a ton of Altimas for what was the slogan?
We just flat sell them for less, and
Yeah,
nobody.
right.
Altimas $199 a month. We just
that's it. The $199 a month. Yeah. So you had Altimas. However, if I had a family of, like my family, I have 5 children, we can't fit in an Altima, right? And so if all you have is Altimas, I'm not a good customer for you, unless I'm going to buy 2 of them, you know. But I mean, I'm not a good customer for you. So to be really effective at used cars, you've got to make sure you have something for everybody. So if you got to be okay not having those customers. I like to include everybody. So I want to have my used car strategy. Anytime that I'm helping a store with used cars, this is the strategy. And I will tell you, I'm not just saying it, the reality of it is every single store that has adopted this strategy has sold significantly more used cars. Yes. So what you want to do is you want to have a grid. Now, we all know that the lower average used car price is going to be, the lower your price point on used cars, the more you're going to sell. That's just industry fact. Everyone knows that. So you want to make sure you're driving costs down, but you also want to make sure you got to have 2 strategies in one. So you might have to rewatch this, but I'll just go over it. Number 1 is going to be making sure you have something for everybody. How do you do that? I use a big whiteboard or spreadsheet, and I'm going to separate it out. Billy, I'm going to have cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, and vehicles under 10 grand. And that's a good place to start at. So cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, vehicles under 10 grand, those 5 columns. And then I'm going to make me some lines on there. And I'm going to have, like I said, 10 grand and under, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20,000 plus. And when you do that, you know, the heading across the top, the pricing down the side, you're going to have boxes. And what you have to do then is make sure you fill those boxes up. So if I have a 2017 Ford Edge, a 2019 Ford Edge, and 2020, I may have 1 in each inventory bucket. That's a good mix. That's going to make sure if anyone wants to buy a Ford Edge, they come in and I've got a really nice one. I've got something in the middle and maybe something with high miles. But I have every price band covered. So if my customer wants the expensive one, but they can't afford the payment on the expensive one, I have something similar I can step them down to make sure that I can sell a car. So you got to be very strategic with you can't just go out and buy used cars. You can't just keep everything you trade for. You know, you want to make sure that it fits your strategy. And so into that, I want to start with the first part, which is cars under 10 grand. Now, I did this at a store one time, Billy, and I got a lot of heat for it. The owner called. He was like, "Why are you doing this? It's crazy." But I still think it was a good decision. Here's what I'm talking about. If you live in a state, Billy, that does not require a inspection on a used vehicle, so like South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, you know, there's a lot of states that don't require a state inspection on a vehicle. That allows you to sell a lot more used cars because you're not having to deal with emissions issues. So the dealerships I worked with in North Carolina, a lot of very, very, very nice pieces of inventory we couldn't sell because of emissions issues, especially diesel trucks and things like that. The vehicle's a little older, it has an emissions code going on, and the cost to fix something that doesn't even impact its drivability prohibited us from being able to sell that car. But in South Carolina or Georgia, you don't have to worry about that. You want to put safe vehicles out there. You want them to stop and steer. But as long as they're safe, and you would feel comfortable selling the vehicle ethically, that it's a safe vehicle, you should never wholesale any of those cars. And I know a lot of dealers are adopting this, but what I did, so I walk into a store, Billy, they've got 30 wholesale units that are 60 to 90 days old that they could not get rid of. They weren't bringing the money at the auction. They weren't, because they were a little too much for the wholesalers, and the dealer could not afford to lose, $500 a car on 30 cars is $15,000. He couldn't lose that money. So what I did, I said, no problem. I'm going to take my inventory cost. So let's say I own that car for $3,000, Billy. I'm going to take off my dock fee. So my dock fee is $599. I'm going to have that car for $2,400 plus tax, tag, and license. And I'm putting that vehicle online, and I'm paying every salesman that sells those cars a $100 mini. But it's going towards their count. It's going towards their bonus count, and it's getting them excited. So in that dealership that I'm talking about, what happened is it was a small store. They only had about 30 used cars in inventory. I doubled their used car availability right away. But number two, those guys are struggling. Man, they're down. They're not having great months because they don't have a lot of opportunity to sell anything. Now I just gave them 30 cars they can sell. I made the same money. You know what I mean? I charged the customer the dock fee. I made what it was worth wholesale. I got myself out of that loop. But, all of a sudden I get a call and the dealer's like, man, what are you doing? You can't sell wholesale cars to the public. I'm like, man, why not? I mean, they know what it is. They know they need to buy. And if I don't sell it to them, it's going to get sold at the auction. They're going to spend $500 in their shop making it okay. And they're going to put it on the street in my town, and you see that a lot of the buy here, pay here, lots of stuff. So why would I not give my salespeople a chance to sell those cars, get a small commission, help them hit their monthly goals? I'm not worried about, I'm not taking the wholesale loss. My car, I'm not having transfer fees. I'm not having to send things to the auction. I'm not losing my inventory. And I'm putting more vehicles on the street that have my dealership name on the back of them. So, and I'm keeping my shop busy with oil change inspections, and I'm keeping everything rolling at the store. So the first thing I would say is, if right now, if you're not doing that, is try to keep everything and sell it the best you can. Just be realistic about it. Take what it's really worth, what your trade ACV is, add a couple $100 for detail and shop, back your dock fee into it, and put that car out for retail sale. It gives everybody, it creates excitement. It creates, helps your salespeople make a little money, and it solves your used car wholesale loss problem by getting those cars going. So first step to selling more used cars is keep all your used cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is especially, in my opinion, for the smaller, you said you did this with a smaller dealership. Yeah. Here's the problem with running and there's some awesome small dealerships who are very profitable, and the salespeople make a lot of money, and the managers make a lot of money, and the dealer makes a lot of money. But some of the problems you see with the smaller lots is salespeople being happy. If you're not, a good salesperson is going to go where the money is. So if you're not allowing that salesperson an opportunity to make some money, he's going to go, and you're going to be left with the less than desirable salespeople. So what you're doing by doing this is giving that salesperson an opportunity to make some more money, and you're creating activity. So many of your leads come in because of your inventory. So at a small dealership, you're less leads. You're gonna be fighting an uphill battle unless you're willing to do this. Now, I do want to mention though, at these smaller dealerships, it's a little tougher for them to have something for everyone, and a lot of times the dealer it's the dealer versus the general manager. So as a general manager, you may want to do exactly what Caleb wants to do: cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, cars under $10,000. But a lot of times, Caleb, they're going to give them, a floor plan limit. And that's why I went with the strategy of, okay, if I had to sell 50 something, 50 cars, 60 cars, what would it be? And, in that area, that market, I knew I could take advantage of the Altimas and just sell all the Altimas. So like Caleb said, you have to be willing to either get something for everyone or just understand you're not going to get those customers. So, there was a lot of customers that I didn't get, but by George, if an Altima, was sold,
You sold.
yeah, I wanted to do
Well,
it.
that's the second thing I was to talk about. So if you can't do now I'll finish on the mix thing, but all right, going back to that. So, if you can have cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, you can have something for everybody. You're going to generate, number one, you're going to generate a lot of leads. All right. So the small dealer who can't have all the inventory, but that dealer's been in business for a while. There's 2 dealers that are within 3 miles of my office that were rock lot dealers that are out of business since like in the last 3 months. And I know why, because they don't, all they have is what they have. They can't generate opportunities. They can't sell cars. So what you can do, small dealers, and this is not, take it for what you will, but I reactivate cars I've already sold, Billy. If I'm the Altima guy, right? So you're the Altima guy and you sell Altimas and you've got 10 Altimas in stock, but you've sold 80 Altimas in the past 8 months. I'll reactivate all of them. And the reason I will is because I can get that same car, right? 62% of people don't buy what they came in on anyway. So I'll reactivate that, giving myself the largest used car inventory of anyone around. So I'll reactivate all my sold units and keep them online, especially on my website, because that's free. It's not a package that I have to pay to have inventory advertised as, but I'll reactivate similar vehicles. So if you're a Chevy dealer, Billy, and you trade for a BMW 3 Series, the chances of you selling that car are very slim because you only have a one BMW 3 Series in stock. But if you've sold 5 in the last 6 months and you reactivate all 5 of those, and now you've got 6 cars out there getting leads, when they call in a BDC, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say, hey, that vehicle is no longer available. It was sold. However, I have this one that is available, and try to sell that car. So I'm going to use old inventory that I already have nice pictures of, and I'm going to go ahead and reactivate that inventory, giving myself a very large inventory and a large presence online. So that way, when the consumer's looking, they see that, wow, these people have sold a lot of these BMWs. This Chevy store sold a lot of these Mercedes. So I can feel comfortable as a Mercedes buyer going to the Chevy dealership and buying the car because they've sold so many of them. All you're doing is telling your story of what you've sold by leaving your inventory online. And like I said, it generates a lot more leads and gives you a lot more opportunity to sell more cars. So to that small dealer point, that is something you can do strategically to be larger than you are. That makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And you're telling your story. That's a wonderful way to put it. And you are there again, you are engaging your lead with your process that understands they're probably not going to buy the car. They're calling on the wrong car anyway. So we're going to help them find that right car. So absolutely makes perfect sense. Real quick, I want to take a look at these comments, and I want to make a point about the comments, if you will. And by the way, again, if you want your sales team, your BDC to be trained with the most effective process in the entire car business, then I'm going to give that to you. All you got to do is go to my website, billymerritt.com, fill out the lead form or the contact us down at the bottom, and we're going to get you free access to a multi-million-dollar platform that will train your people, and you will have your people will be trained with the same process of my people. And I do have the most effective product and process in the entire car business. Read some of those comments to me, and I'm going to make a point about them.
Yes, sir. Ray Mucci had a good one. Says, I have a dealer who puts his fresh, uninspected trades online for a month or so, listed as a DIY special for $2,000 to $3,000 cash. Brings in tons of leads, especially off of Facebook Marketplace. But most of the time, people switch to retail-ready units, but great lead gen, and they have down payments since they came in on a cheap cash car.
Absolutely. Perfect. Go next.
Ken Walls says, Billy W. Merritt.
Okay, so here's the point I want to make about these comments right here. I see Ray Mucci, Ken Walls, Sarah Stalker. Every one of these people are some of the top producers in the entire country at what they do. Okay. Ray Mucci's amazing talent, absolutely changing lives and changing dealerships in the Midwest with his process. Okay. Ken Walls works with some of the most influential people on the planet when it comes to social media. He actually has a live stream, Grow Live, and he has the live streaming and social media academy. Okay. He just wrote a book called, I think, the 100 secrets of live stream, something like that. It's amazing what the information this guy has. Sarah Stalker, the best ads manager in the entire country. These people are taking their time to come over to our show to gain information. What I'm trying to tell you is there's some tremendous value worth millions of dollars. These people's have their time is extremely valuable, yet they take the time to come over and watch the DigiNinja Dealer Academy every single Thursday. The information that you put out here, Caleb, is changing lives. And I just wanted you to know that when Ken Walls, Sarah Stalker, Ray Mucci, Tim McCarn, absolutely changing lives, are coming on here to spend an hour with us to gain this information, you're making a difference. Just want to say thank you and let you know the type of people that are paying attention to what you're bringing to us.
Good deal, man. Well, it's the whole goal here is to help guys who are looking for another voice, somebody to help them out. I've spent so much time in situations where, it's frustrated, frustrating situations. Like you said earlier, the guy has a plan. He knows how to execute it. He knows what to do, but the dealer won't let him do it. And so he has to have different ways. So, everything I talk about each week may not be something you can do in sequence, everything together, but you can find something that works for you. So on that used car side, let's say you are a small dealer, you can only have 30 cars in inventory, Billy. I would not have 30 different cars. I would have we talked about. I would have, if I'm a Ford dealer, I would have 10 F-150s. I would have 10 Explorers and Edges, small SUVs, and I would have 10 other cars. I'm not going to spread my inventory. I'm not going to go out and buy one Chevy Silverado and one Honda Accord and one Toyota Camry. I can't sell that car. That's not a good strategy for me. So if I am that small dealer, I've got to decide what is my core inventory, what best fits the marketplace that I live in, and that's what I have to sell. And I got to be strategic about it, and I got to sell it, and I got to fill it with new car inventory. So I know we don't have a lot of time, but just one more thing. Going back, if I decide my used car model is set selling of used cars, because I do not have the ability to have something for everybody. So Billy, if my goal is set selling, and I'm going to focus on F-150 trucks, Ford Explorers, and Ford Fusions. I'm going to offer, those are the three cars I'm going to mainly focus on. Then I need to make sure on my new car side that I'm buying my inventory by selling my new cars. So what I mean by that is I have to be very, very disciplined and very, very strategic in my new cars of those same models to make sure that I'm getting those trade-ins so that I can resell them. I'm also going to make sure that I have a good farming program in my service department to make sure that anyone that comes in with our core piece of inventory, I could pay even $5,000 or $6,000 over because I have an exit strategy to get rid of that vehicle. So once you decide what your core is, you have to put other steps in place to fill that funnel. Besides, I'm just going to go to the auction and buy them, because that'll never work.
I want to ask you about the core vehicles real quick. So I'm a new general manager, or even a GSM, even a sales manager. Okay. And you're new to the store. You have a very limited used car inventory. And if we go over, Caleb, that's fine. Grant will forgive us. We'll take up a little bit of his show today. It starts at 12 noon, but I'm a new manager coming into the store responsible for inventory. Maybe I'm just a used car buyer. You're very savvy to the systems that these maybe it's rentals. Obviously I'm not as savvy. So I'm asking you, if I come into the dealership and I want to find out what has been sold in the last 12 months, what have I sold the most of? Because I think that's a very important tool. I had to do it the old school way and go back and pull the reports and write them down, use the spreadsheet. Is there a report that you can pull that will help you see what you've sold and break it down by year, make, and model?
Yeah. So if it's new cars, if you're on the new car side, it's right on your financial statement. I mean, it's going to have every make you sell, exactly what you sold, divide it by 10 since it's October, and you can get your average, right? So on the new car side, it's very simple. On the used car side, yeah, like a dealer just let me into his Viato this morning just to do that same thing. And you're just going to go back and you're going to react. Basically, what you do is you just reactivate all inventory. So you're going to look at, you're going to go in just a little click box. I want to see all inventory. And then I'm going to take that and just export that to Excel, sort it, and then I can just highlight, drag, and get my number. So it's very simple to do.
Viato, you're doing it from the CRM.
Yeah, or from the inventory management tool. Yeah, like so I'd use Viato is the easiest way. Now, another thing, obviously, I like to. Well, if you're a new guy, you wouldn't have it, but if you do a better job at tracking each day, like I always use a spreadsheet that I created that it was on a Google Drive where all my sales were logged, so I could track funding, I could track what was sold each day. I didn't have to call and ask, hey guys, what we sell today? I could just grab my phone, look down, and see what we sold to see what we traded for. And I kept those monthly. So if you'll start by creating your own spreadsheet, so you own the information, it's your information. You don't have to go ask you don't have to go ask somebody to pull a report for you. You don't have to go look for it. Next year, you just have all your spreadsheets. Then you can go through there and see, okay, last year in July, this is exactly what we sold. We had a great month. If my inventory doesn't look like that again, I'm probably set up for a bad month. So you can use just like stocks, you can use trends and history to see what your month is going to be. You just look at the past and see what was selling in those same months before.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in right now, this is a tremendous show. You need to go back and look. Caleb has given you some awesome fourth quarter coaching strategies on exactly how you can make sure that you have a good fourth quarter. And I want to, speaking to trending and speaking to past performance, I want to make sure that everyone understands that just because you pointed out that some dealers are having a slow season right now, not most of our dealers definitely are not. And, it's all about, one thing we haven't talked about is it's been in between, and it's been in the innuendos of our conversation, but is mindset, because 2 years ago in October, you and I were just getting started we really just getting some traction with our nationwide campaign touching dealers and helping dealers with the buyback events. And we were doing it was in October, man, our best month. We started back in July, maybe August and September, but October was our biggest month. That's like when we had really knocked it out of the park. So if your mindset is you're going to have a slow October, slow fourth quarter, that's what you're going to get. Yeah. And, you introduced me to some new markets, and we were having, really having some success. I'm like, man, if this keeps going, this is going to be huge. And you were like, no, dude, this is going to keep going. I mean, there's no way it's not going to keep going. So, tell us about the proper mindset. So just to make sure that we don't get bogged down in the details and in the, we have to focus on the problems to solve it, but a little bit about mindset.
I see a cool comment there from my buddy Jeff Irwin. Jeff's a good client, but not only that, he doesn't mind listening and taking criticism and also trying new ideas. So I always appreciate helping and talking to him. He's one of my favorites. And but a lot of people I'm talking about, Billy, are not even our customers. I get a lot of calls from people who they're like, Caleb, man, I can't do business with you guys. I can't. I don't have the money. I don't have the budget. But can you just help me with something? So a lot of customers I have are customers they're not customers. They're just relationships that one day will turn into a customer just by helping them now. So anyway, my point is you got to be positive. Number one, that's the key. And even if you're positive, Billy, and you're motivated and you're excited, you're also not the only guy at the dealership. So going into these months, you got to your financial situation as a general manager or your financial situation as the dealer, your life is not going to be changed by a couple bad months. It's just not. It's like a slow month for a salesman, a slow month for a technician can put them in a situation where they have to find a new job or something dramatic is going to happen in their life, right? So you may be up, but you don't know what everybody else is going through. So it's critical that you do, and so I'm a realist. I understand you're not going to pull the service department and parts department in to have a sales meeting each day, but your salespeople you can be responsible for. And so what you're going to have to do is if you're really thinking like, I'm going to be so positive that everyone around me is going to get positive, that's great, but that's not reality. In my experience, it didn't matter how positive I was. I mean, you're going to have to really take interest in everybody in the store, and you're going to have to push those people to find out what it is they want to achieve. So this is a good time of year for that, Billy, because you got Christmas coming up, and honestly, like November is usually most guys' last commission check before buying Christmas presents, right? So that's if you think about it, that's really only 6 to 8 weeks out. So a good thing to do right now with your salespeople is get each one of them, each manager. I was telling you, Billy, say, hey, Billy, man, you did a great job in September. I just want to talk to you for just a few minutes, make sure our goals are in line. Last month you sold 10 cars. What's your goal for this month? And you tell me, well, I'd like to do 10 again. That was a good month for me. And I'm going to say, well, Billy, you do have a couple things coming up. Just want to make sure, we do it Christmas coming up. I know you've got 2 kids. What are you thinking about? What do they want for Christmas? And Billy, they may say, well, my son's really wanting an Xbox, and my daughter's wanting this. And I know as a general manager, well, that's a $300 toy, right? Or that's a $300 deal. I may say something to you like, Billy, well, hey, I'll tell you what, man, you've been hitting 10 cars a month for me for the last 9 days. If you can do 12 cars for me in October and 12 cars for me in November, just stretch your goal too. I'll go ahead and I'll buy that. I'll give you, like I said, I'll give you the money for that gift as a bonus. I want to find out, I want to give them something to work for besides a $300 spiff or a $150 used car spiff, and that also shows, Billy, it's going to show my employee that I'm taking interest in their family, interest in their life. And when they're sitting there on that, where they might could take that one more up, and I'm like, hey, Billy, you got 9, 3 more cars this month, and you get that the Xbox is yours or whatever. I'm going to make sure that I'm aligning my customers' goals, my employees' goals up, making sure I'm holding them accountable and keeping them positive, keeping them on task, and putting some incentives out there that might can actually help them. Because if my compensation is at 40% versus 35% at the end of the month, but my store made a lot of money and my people are happy, then I'll take that ass chewing from the dealer, and I won't even worry about it because I know that the rest of the store has my back, and we're going to keep going in the right direction. So, it's great to be positive. It's all about mindset. It's all about that, but you better line up some purpose with it if you're going to actually achieve what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong investing in your people, man. When you build a loyal group of salespeople that'll go with you anywhere, and I've got salespeople that work with me now that have worked with me at other places, and they come with me because they know if they're working with Billy, they're going to make some money, and that you have the same type of salespeople. I want to go back to the comments real quick, and I want to bring out another big point. If you'll click on Jeff's comment again, Caleb, I love your approach. I love your very confident, under the radar, humble approach. But now Jeff Kerwin, that's one of the dealers that you work with, one of the general managers. Is that right?
That is, yeah. He's a general manager in Kansas.
Okay, so here is a guy who's worked with Caleb now. So here's why we do the show, and here's why Caleb is the guy who brings us this information every Thursday. We're going to read a dealer's comment, general manager, I guess. Jeff Kerwin, the general manager. In Caleb We Trust, 120 unit year-over-year increase. So I'm guessing in September of last year, they sold a certain number of cars, and in 1 year working with Caleb, they increased their sales by 120 cars. Is that accurate, what I'm reading right there?
That's right. And that's, if you figure an average dealer in the United States is $3,000 with ads and deducts, total deal. It's a lot of money, so it's $500,000.
Yeah, absolutely. It's $500,000 because I'm sure it was that number. But let's say that, hey, you implemented some strategies, you invested in your people, you gave bonuses, you did some things that brought your average deal down, and it was only $2,000. How would you like an extra $240,000 in your gross profit this month? So, I mean, we're really doing these things we're talking about. We don't do this for the fun of it. There's a lot of other things we could be doing right now. We're doing this to help people, and we do help a lot of people for free. And then because an average event's going to cost you $7,000 to $8,000 for 1 week with me and Caleb with one of our events. So many times, like, we don't have that in the budget. Our entire budget's that. Well, guess what? If you can get on a call with us, we show you how you can do it on your own, and then you can increase your own events. Then you may have more money you can put into an advertising budget and really blow it up and do an event with us. So I'm going to ask Jeff if Jeff would mind getting on a call like this with me, and maybe let me ask him. I'd love to get an endorsement if Jeff would do that, or if you could.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Yeah, he's said before he'd love to come on. So I mean, he actually Jeff started working with me originally with one store, and we worked together, and he did a phenomenal job at the one store, and that actually parlayed into him taking over 3 other dealership rooftops. So and here's the thing about that is I know people say it sounds bad, but the reality of it is, man, is we don't make enough money on the events for the value's definitely in the dealers ball court. So
it's one-sided for sure.
It is, because if they do, let's say we do a $6,500, $7,500, $8,500 event, depending on what the dealer wants. Let's take a $6,500 event. That's kind of our base event. All right, $3,000 goes to ads. All right, that money is gone. That money is spent on advertising. That money is going to the dealer having exposure in his marketplace. If the dealer will spend $20,000 on TV and have no way to track it, and that's okay, but $3,000 on Facebook, and more people are on their phones. Screen time, if I know this, that the TV screen time is probably 1/10 of the cell phone screen time, right? And so there's if that, and so they're seeing your message. That $3,000's there. All right, so we have $3,500 left, right? Now I've got a team. We have 45 ninjas working. Yeah, but let's just say we have 4 people on an event, right? We got 4 people assigned to an event, and they're going to put 40 hours each into that event. So it's 160 hours. I know what we pay them, and that's another $2,500 to $3,000 of that money. That leaves us $1,000 of profit. Okay, and that $1,000 is what we make. Now, let's say the event starts going bad. What's the first thing we do? Or this challenge. Let's say the ad cost is high. It's challenging. Sarah or somebody calls us, says, "Hey, can we put more money into this?" Right? Well, where does that money come from? It comes from the profit, right? And so the only way that we're super successful is by mass amount of events running. Because we're able to do and facilitate 50, 60 events a week, that's what keeps the thing going. So we're not working with a dealer and offering all this information because we just want to make a bunch of money from the dealer. It's about building great relationships, friendships with people, and because we are, I know you are, Billy, we're fueled by, and we're judging our success by how much we can help other people. And, to me, I'd rather a dealer call me and say, "Hey man, we had a great event. We sold X number of vehicles and you really helped me save my month." I'd rather have that than the commission, because to me, that is a commission. That's a commission.
It absolutely is. And man, goodness, you said so much right there. And I don't care how long we go, we're going to keep this going. The relationships are so important. When you have dealers all over the country who believe in you and come to you because they know you will help them, man, I can't tell you how many times you've asked me, "Hey, Billy, can we help this dealer out? Here's what I'm doing," because we have a partnership. We work with all these dealers, so many of these dealers that we do business for every month that I don't know the dealers. I obviously my call center, I'm doing things for Jeff Kerwin every single day. Okay. But because of your relationship, that's, all we need to do is talk to his customers and make sure that they're getting the information they need and that we're setting appointments for them. So that just goes back to the relationship thing. Jeff and all your dealers know that your product is is you come along with the call center, you come along with the event, you solve their problems along the way. You call and say, hey, Billy, we need to adjust here. We need to adjust here. And I say, yes, absolutely. Let's do it. You know, the relationship that you and I have is built on helping each other. And that's why it's grown into what it's grown into. And that's why you and I both have whatever it takes. We're going to make this dealer happy. And the dealer's happy when people are walking in the door and buying cars. And we've done it. We've done so many events that we lost money on.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done month-long events for dealers that, you know, we felt like, hey, they're selling cars, but they're not selling enough cars. Let's increase the ad spend. Let's do this. Let's send a closer down there for 3 days for free. You know, let's extend the event. Let's do whatever it takes. I've lost money month after month on one dealer. And then now we figure it out, and we figure the marketing and the cars and the inventory and their BDC and their call center and our call center and who works well together and what adjustments do we need to make. And I'm going to keep saying, I'm going to keep agreeing that it's us until I finally get the dealer or the general manager realize, hey, buddy, you got the wrong manager at the desk.
That's
you got
right.
We'll let them figure it out. We're not going to tell them that, but we're going to work with them along the way, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that dealer's happy. And that's how we've built this thing to working
That's
with
right.
them.
And not only that, but it allows us to help more people because they couldn't afford, most dealers couldn't justify like a consulting fee that would be worth mine or your time to come in and work with them. And I'm not saying that from a place of arrogance, it's just reality that, you know, they couldn't afford to give us, you know, $30,000 for the week to come in and us say, well, we're not going to worry about any other customer. We're only going to focus on them. We can't do that. But if we can run 50 of 60 events a week and we can, and the ones that are on autopilot because their market's doing well, their ads are serving low, the customers are responding, those kind of take care of themselves, and they allow us to put more energy and effort on the ones that are maybe struggling a little bit. And the reality of it is, you know, what it's kind of like a general manager. What do they want? They want to have a great month, sell cars, and make a bunch of money, and the dealer's happy. Well, that's what they want. It doesn't always happen that way. Doesn't mean they didn't do their job. Doesn't mean that they're not positive. Doesn't mean they don't have great processes. Just something happened. You know, something fell apart for some reason. It didn't go the way they wanted. Doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make them a bad company. Doesn't make it a bad dealership. Same way with the Facebook events. There may be an event that's a challenge. Doesn't mean the product sucks. There may be an event that doesn't go as well as the dealer would like. Doesn't mean our people didn't work, right? And so all we can do is try to outwork, out effort, and do the best job we can do. I'm proud to say that we haven't. I know I've had to refund. I didn't have to do it. Number one, I refunded a couple of dealers. I think 3 in 2 years. That's a pretty good number. And the only reason I did refund them is because we tried everything we could do. We exhausted everything we could do. We spent every dollar plus money, and we still couldn't make it work. And I was like, well, I'm not going to take their money. That's part of doing business. That's taking a loss because what we did just didn't work, right? But it's pretty good when you do 50, 60 events a week to only have 3 customers you had to do that with for in those 2 years period of time. So
I tell you too, another really good statistic that we have is, you know, it's a pay to play game. We get paid before we do the event, but there's always times when, you know, we'll start the event, you know, and with a promise to pay, right?
Yeah.
And working with over 2,000 dealers, I've got burnt twice. I had 2 dealers that didn't pay me, and one of them just was a crook, right? The other one works for they're one of the largest dealer groups in the country. And when you deal with those people, you're dealing with, by the way, we have insurance to deal with the biggest dealer group in the country. We have everything that it takes to do business with the number 1 dealer group in the country. But this particular big dealer group, they have corporate offices all over the country. And he says, she said it was paid. He says, she said that was for another store. He says, she said that wasn't approved. It didn't have whatever. And, you know, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to even get mad about this. Now, this was an $8,000 event. And we just kept asking and kept being nice. And then the general manager called and wanted to do an event. Same store, new general manager. And I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't burn this bridge. So I said, okay, let's do it. Turned in the work order. I said, now I do need to get paid before we get started. So they sent me a check for a brand new event. And that's just, you know, and I'm still going to get that other 8,000 too at somehow, some way. But my point is, you know, I could have burnt that and said, I'm never doing business again. Or how about let's just do a brand new event? That's it, taking a loss. But now I'm going to get to do an event with this guy every single month and have $8,000 per month cash flow coming in instead of burning the event.
Well, it goes back to trust. Like you said, I flow to a lot more people I know than you do. Billy's really, because I understand the big dealer groups and I don't mind, but like we start the week out and like this week, today, you know, I think dealers owed me a little over $100,000 and I still paid Billy his money, but you know, I know that money's going to come in because of how we work with people. I know that the clients we have are good quality people and we've built good relationships and we do get new calls. We do get new business, referral business, but we don't spend $1 in advertising anymore because we don't have to. We're fortunate not to have to, as far as like going out and sending out email marketing blasts and being the loud salesman. We don't have to do that anymore because we've done such a good job of taking care of people and doing the right thing for 2 years.
Well, it looks like we're having a little technical difficulty right there. And this thing, we're 15 minutes over anyway. So I'll take this opportunity to say thank you again, Caleb, for giving me an hour and 15 minutes today and an hour and 15 minutes of just tremendous information. And what we're doing is we're building some tremendous content. We're giving it all away. Again, if you want some free, if you want access to the digital dealer school, the DigiNinja Dealer Academy, then you just simply go to billymerritt.com, fill out the form, and we will put you on there. My wife's calling. She's probably needs something, so I'm going to wrap this show up. Thank you, Caleb. Let's go solve some problems. Appreciate you guys so much.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
That's a wrap, guys.